two. Take two. And if this don't work, screw it. Google gods are not blessing me today. And they still aren't. Oh, now we're getting a person in. We got one person in. It's probably the Google god saying, should we allow this to happen? Until I see it on my homepage, can't do squat about it. Oh well, no big deal. I'll just talk to myself. I talk to myself all the time. As truck drivers, we talk to ourselves, you know. But now, knowing YouTube, I bet you anything, they're sending out notifications of the live feed I just took down. So I'm going to get a bunch of people like, dude, what happened? Yeah. Oh well, that's the price we pay for the social media. What do you call it? Social media blessings of interaction to display our narcissisms and ego. That's what it is. That's what it is. So, and off. Oh man. Anybody in here yet? It's a beautiful, cloudy, overcast morning here in Illinois. There we are. Look at that ugly dude. That thumbnail sucks. Alright. We got a few people in here. We can talk about a few things. I don't know if anybody caught a little bit of that 12,198 hour live feed of James Best. I was in there for a minute, and there were some really interesting things being talked about when I was in there. So we can talk about that a little bit, and then towards the end, James Best kind of went off on Chucky there, undeservedly so, I believe too. So we can talk about that topic a little bit as well. So, and I think that, and I've kind of experienced this too. When you do live feeds, sometimes you get a little bit brave. You know, they say that road rage is easier to get to because you're encased in this metal container, and you feel almost a little bit, what's the word, anonymous, and you know, kind of like the keyboard warrior thing. And I think that can happen on YouTube as well. And so there were a lot of things last night, I think, that were said to Chucky that might not have been said in person. Because anybody who's met Charles Anderson of GNC Family Trucking knows that he's a good dude. His family is absolutely wonderful. And he has made calculated risks with great reward, to the point that he's on his second Schneider Finance lease truck with the first one paid off, and he has his own authority. There's not too many people out there. I think there's only one other YouTuber that got his own authority with the Schneider Finance truck. Because Schneider does not make that easy. Right? John, it got pretty bad last night. It's it's interesting to see when people make a different business decision that you may not agree with, and people kind of go off on each other about it. It's crazy. Like, like if I decided I suddenly wanted to buy a reefer trailer and get into that part of the game, would I get attacked by other people? Would people like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard you do? I mean, or can you just like go, hey, well, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and then that seems to be a problem in today's YouTube extravaganza world, is that we can't live and let live, and so you get a case of difference of opinions, but they get elevated. That's the evil of social media, is if you have a difference of opinion, it gets elevated, it gets magnified, right? That's as crazy as you cut off the beard. Yeah, people keep saying, Steve, you ought to, I'll give you X amount of dollars to shave off your beard and all that. I'm like, why don't you give it to some homeless people instead? Let me and my beard live in peace. Jancy says, I think some of the alcohol talking. Yeah, but I mean, again, it goes to lack of inhibitions, lack of filter, and I've always been a firm believer that if you want to know how a person thinks of you, get them drunk, and you definitely find how they really think about you, because the filters aren't there, And it was really sad to watch that last night. I don't know, because I understand why Charles doesn't want to factor at this point in the game, and the contracts. I mean, I've never read a factoring contract, and that's something that's kind of it just depends on what kind of risk that you want. There's always the argument of whether you should factor or not. Now, it doesn't affect me in the sense that, like trucking, he factors, which, 15 truck company, you need to factor. Definitely, in my opinion, but I'm not going to beat you up if you don't. And then there's a lot of arguments about, well, this business should be done this certain way. And one of the points that Chucky was trying to make last night was that it wasn't the money. It wasn't the 2 or 3%. It was about the contracts and the restrictions and the ability to get out of them if you wanted to. For example, there are some ELD companies that have contracts, and there's a friend of mine that had an ELD, had a 3-year contract, had so many problems with the ELD that he had to spend money on a lawyer to get out of that contract, because they just would not, the contract was so hard to get out of. And I think that's where Chucky was going, but because James didn't understand that's where he got attacked. He thought it was just about the money. And so most of the people that I know that don't want to factor their authorities, it's not about ego, or it's not about I'm doing this better than you, or I can afford to float $100,000, blah blah blah. I think it's about having as little as possible of everybody else in your business. I think that's kind of what that is. So, and Chucky's got resources that James doesn't have, such as, family at home that can go after the bills and be the bill collectors and all that stuff. So now, if you got multiple trucks, I would definitely lean towards more factoring, because I mean that's and that's not because I know anything. That's because of people that I've talked to that tried to start off without factoring. Once they got into paying other drivers, then we need to factor, and that's kind of what it's designed for. But if someone decides that they want to factor or not factor, I don't think that called for the lashing that Charles got last night. I think that was I think that was distasteful. Let's see. Let's do some shout outs, shall we? We got Chucky, GNC Family Trucking Next Gen. What's up? The Great Freight Sage Logic, Nittany Lion, D Haggy. Next Gen. There goes the second notification. Nomadic Brit, John Armstrong. Let's see. Tolga, hello again. Mom Mentality up. Sorry, I have to run in and get some coffee. I have a huge respect for Mr. Charles. But we are good. We just have different idea of business than him. Says Chucky, James Best is going to be nominated at the Guinness Bookmarks of World Records for the most alcoholic live feed, says D Haggy. Chuck, the contract is open for changing. I have had them change it for people just FYI, if you looking, I can see if I can get some things changed. Everyone has a different business model, and you just have to work with how they feel. Thank you for seeing that. I never said I would never factor, but at this point, I do not like seeing what I was reading. And so Eric and Charles bring up a good point. Okay, Eric, who gives a factoring deal through Triumph, is willing to ease the fears, or at least change some of the things that, or at least discuss openly the concerns that Charles has. That's what a civilized conversation does. And so, and one of the things when I was on James West's live feed last night, everybody's making fun of this guy called the Local Guy. I've never watched him other than him being on James Best's channel, and he's kind of the whipping post. I mean, he's kind of the guy that everybody makes fun of, and I can see why. He lacks a lot of confidence, and he makes an easy target. That's the thing in life. If you don't have a lot of confidence in yourself, you become an easy target for people that want to lash out. And so I ribbed them a little bit. It was like a roast, and it's he has these fears of running his business, right? He has these fears of the one box and the Freightliner, all that. And I was trying to tell him, but I kept getting interrupted because everybody wanted to be joking. I was like being Mr. Serious because I'm a buzzkill that way. But the reality is if you have fears, for example, if you want to get your own authority and one of your biggest fears is invoicing, well, do the cost analysis of someone that can do that for you. If your biggest fear is paperwork and filings, you can always outsource that. You can always hire that. If your biggest fear of being an owner operator is taxes, then you ease your fears by hiring the right tax accountant. And that's another subject that comes up a lot in Truckers Coach's channel and James's channel. When it comes to LLCs and taxes and how should you incorporate and all that stuff. And the reality, there's only 2 or 3 sources you need to go to, and trucking YouTubers is not it, because everybody's situation's different. And so I had a tax accountant look at my LLC because I I file as a sole proprietor LLC. And I had until March to see if I wanted to change it to an S corp. You know, filing as an S corp. And she evaluated the money I make, the situation I'm in, the home situation. She evaluated everything and said, you know what, you're one of the rare people that this really wouldn't benefit that much. And you know, and so that's where I'm at. So you know, ATBS comes up a lot, you know, and people just will just absolutely annihilate them. And but I know people that have had good luck with them. I know people that get $6,000 to $7,000 to $8,000 back every year because of them. So, you know, when it comes to tax questions, there's just not a blanket statement. That's the problem with trucking. If you want to learn how to run like a record store, you know, it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, there's like maybe 5 different ways, 5 different strategies of how you set up everything. But beyond that, it's pretty standard, right? But when it comes to trucking, there's 1,000 ways to do it. And so the problem with social media is that people get offended if they don't follow your way, or people get offended if you do follow their way and they think you're copying them. You know, it's like you can't win with social media. You just can't. You know, and so, you know, it triggers people. Like, you know, John just says, I use ATBS, right? And I'm sure there's somebody in the chat that's gonna be like, no, that's the worst thing ever, you know. And I see it all the time on Facebook, you know. And excuse me. And it's just how you look at it. It's just how, you know, you're going to make mistakes, right? And so what I was trying to tell local guy, which I think we renamed him One Box, what I was trying to tell him is you have to take those fears and face them so you know what to prepare for. If you're afraid of doing the paperwork wrong, make sure that you make all the steps to make sure that either you know how to do it or you have someone who knows how to do it for you. It's the same thing with taxes. You know, people are like, oh, you got to do your own taxes. You know, do your own taxes, do your own taxes. And there are some people that can barely keep the receipts in an envelope. Those are the kind of people that need to hire out and have the right people do the taxes. Running your own authority takes a lot of work, takes a lot of brain power, and obviously it's not something I've dived into yet, because I also have concerns and fears. Oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? So if I ever did, I would want to get those ducks in a row. That's common sense. That's how you get into business. But the problem with trucking, the problem with the trucking business, is that you can literally get your CDL, handed the keys to a truck, and say, "Boom, you're a business owner now. Good luck." You're kind of thrown into the wolves there. And you know, whereas like a brick and mortar business, you got to have some credit, you got to have some equity, you've got to have some kind of, you know, you have to have a business plan, you know, and you have companies out here that will literally give you the keys to a $160,000 truck, and you didn't even need a business plan to do it. How's that fair to the little guy? You know, not the YouTuber, but to the little business entrepreneur guy, right? How's that fair? It's designed that way. That's the thing. It's designed that way. And so there's a really great clip out there on in the YouTube and Facebook world of a guy that says, you know what, your life future can be predicted by the friends that you have. So if you surround yourself with very successful people, they can help you address your concerns, your fears, you know. And that's the good part about YouTube, you know. I once told a friend that, you know, yeah, I kind of waste my time with this YouTube thing. He's like, no, it's networking. You know, as a business owner, it's important to be networking, and there's a lot of great people I've met because of this platform right here. Whether I'm using my GoPro or my phone, or, you know, putting up a red chicken video, that's all a networking thing. I did exactly. I have a bookkeeper for my business, John, and I have another friend that just got his own authority, and he was told all these horror stories of, well, you know, you're gonna have to do this, you're gonna have to do that, and he's like, no, I ain't. I'm saving such good money on my insurance. I'm going to, you know, hire that out to someone that he trusts, to someone that he was already using for other things, you know, and it's worked out well. And so, you know, when people like use the, you know, people use the term, well, you know, factoring, there you're invoicing and all that stuff, and it's like, that's true, and I can see where trying to invoice 20 different brokers can become an issue and trying to keep track. And, you know, James Best did make a great point that, you know, he had $50,000 floating around that hadn't been paid yet. And so you look at that aspect. Okay, let's look at that negative aspect, you know, and you add that to the pros and cons, whether you should factor or not. And, you know, if I was responsible for paying other drivers, you know, Christian Trucker, he didn't factor at first, but as he acquired more drivers and learned and almost had a few hiccups, he learned the importance of factoring, and now he's pretty happy with it. So it's there's so many different ways of doing this. You know, like my system, the way I run the spot market may not work for you. But when I put my numbers on the glass, people are like, oh, huh. You know, it gets them thinking, and that's what you want. You want people to think about that, you know. And my methods don't always work and you know, the market's got to be good to do what I do. If the market's bad, then I find myself going to, you know, places I don't normally like to go. And it's very easy to judge people on the YouTube, like I don't reveal everything to you guys. I'm not dishonest with you guys, but I'm not like putting out 100% of everything that's happening in my life, because there's still a thing called privacy. Well, you know, if you're going to go live on YouTube, Steve, you know, you need to, you know, privacy's out the window. We deserve to know everything about you. And and it's funny to me. And I've always admitted my imperfections and my faults. And, you know, and I've even thought about doing a video where I talk about, I even thought about doing a video where I ask, okay, people, what do you see? What's your impression of me when it comes to business, or when it comes to, you know, because it would be easy to assume that I don't work hard, right? Because, you know, a lot of times I'm at home. And But if you get down to the nitty gritty, like this load here, for example, this load I got $400 over the 30-day average. Rate per mile is through the roof. It allows me to go home, enjoy the Memorial Day holiday with family, and I still am under a load. And you know, and now the only bad thing about this load is it doesn't deliver till Wednesday in Oklahoma City. So rate per day kind of sucks. But when you look at all the other options, you know, I could have taken a $1,500 load that delivered Saturday and then not have anything for Sunday and Monday, and then have to deadhead. You know, either way I shook it, I was only going to get above a certain amount per day, unless I was to go down to Florida or a dead end market, and then I'm fighting to come back up. Which, you know, the daily average per day kind of screws that up. So if I'm only going to make $500 or $600 a day because of the holiday, or $700 a day, I might as well do it in the comfort of my home, while, you know, and sit at my house, knowing that, you know, I'm under a load that I can go home, that I can deliver, you know, and Wednesday morning I'll be sitting pretty. But if I don't tell you any of that, you're like, oh, look at Steve, he's home again, you know, not realizing that 90% of the time when I go home, I'm under a load because of where I live and how awesome I-44 is. So, so impressions are important, but you can't judge a book completely by the cover. I mean, you just can't. No. Eric is the number you gave me back today. Da, 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 da. You never did say how much your last shop labor bill was, just the labor. I don't remember, Marty, I think I did. I don't remember. Some things you have to delegate the services because as a small business, you can't afford the actual payroll for people trained to do it yet, i.e. a payroll department, accounts receivable. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's you know, Specter's right. It's a way to adapt. And so when you've got 50 trucks and you can hire professional people that are trained to do it, you know, with benefits and everything else as a true employee, you know, then you know, then other things come into play, and you're able to do that. Whereas, you know, I definitely see the you know, and that's the thing. I'm not arguing whether you should factor or not, you know. And if I was to have my own authority, more than likely I'd be factoring. But I would really kind of look at the contracts and all that and see what I wasn't comfortable with, and then discuss those things. And so, yeah, Spectre makes a good point. You have to delegate sometimes. Sometimes it could be the wife at home doing the bookkeeping, and other times you could be hiring professional service. You know, it depends on how much money you want to spend and how much, you know, you want to rely on somebody you don't know. That's the thing with that. You are the trucker papa, buddy. You are the average of the top 5 people you hang around with. And I think that's where I was going with that. You know, if you look at your circle of people, that's where you're at. You know what I mean? And there were many, many times in my life where I was hanging out with the wrong people, and it just, you know, wondered why my life sucked. You know, there's a coincidence there. I want my business to be more like yours, Steve. A bit home more time. I've had 9 days off since October 2020. Rick, if you lived in liberal California, your cents per mile would be a lot higher. But then your costs would be a lot higher too. Listen, but gotta knock out this last 100 miles of the house. I should be rolling here. I'm going to finish this coffee and call it a wrap on this live feed unless we get into a major discussion. I think as a society, we're too quick to judge. We assume too much, you know. I think last night there was an assumption that it was a money issue that why Charles didn't want to factor, not the other stuff. And I think a lot of that comes from some of the Facebook pages where people argue about the money aspect of factoring. And so the argument's brought up, well, here's the other benefits, you know, this, you know, the invoicing and the accounts receivable and all this stuff, right? And, you know, and there's you know, it's like anything else business, there's pros and cons, you know, but here's where I'm getting at. Whether you want to factor or not, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to be offended if you do. I'm not going to be offended if you don't. If you want to, I understand. If you don't want to, I understand. And I have friends on both sides of that fence. I got friends that will be like, absolutely don't factor, you know, and then you got people that are like, you got to factor or else you're going to die. You know, there's those two extremes. And I'm friends with both sides. And so I see what works for each side. And so having a calm mind to evaluate from the both sides is where the decision's usually somewhere in the middle, right? You know, okay, well, this is a valid concern, but, you know, you got this. Oh, over here, this is a valid concern, but then you got this. And the answer's somewhere in the middle. It always is. And unfortunately, we get passionate about this business, and so we get upset. I'm horrible about getting upset when people don't take my advice. I'm pretty bad about that. My wife has pointed that out many times, and I think that part of that is because I really want to see people succeed. I really want to see people do better. And when I can see them make the same mistakes that I've made, or making the same mistakes over and over, or they just can't get over that aha moment, just can't quite get there, it can be frustrating, you know. And then when you see them fall down, when you knew they were going to fall down, that you know, I don't know, I guess that's just me kind of giving a little bit of a shit, you know, like hey, I actually care about the outcome of the situation, you know, and when it doesn't come out that way, it kind of bums you out, and so it can be very frustrating, you know. And again, not that I'm a be all end all master or mage of anything, but I do know that, and this is kind of my own doing. This is the problem that tends to happen. People tend to, I've always said, let people underestimate you. You know, let your enemy underestimate you, right? Well, that can work against you too, because then people may not have faith in, well, why does Steve tell me that? His life kind of sucks. His situation's dumb. I'm not listening to that guy, you know? And not knowing that the things that I actually do have kind of lined out, you know. So sometimes that'll work against you, but for the most part, I don't know, being underestimated can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing, you know, when you're trying to get, you know. And that's where that close circle of friends, you know, like people that truly know me are like, oh, okay. And so, like, there are people that enter the spot market and within a month or so they're giving me advice on the spot market, which is fine. That's great. And then they find out that I actually kind of do know a little bit about the spot market, And so they've underestimated my power in the spot market simply because they've judged me by external sources. So, and when they make their mistakes, I just kind of like, yep, been there, done that. Mind you, I've been doing this, spot market thing for 3 years, and I see the same mistakes. I saw the same mistakes at Landstar. I saw the same mistakes at Schneider, and the spot market is no different. I've made a lot of those mistakes, and I can list a bunch of them. I've done the, $4 a mile to a dead area and then sit for 3 days because you don't want to make $1 back, that kind of thing. I've done all that. I've done the whole, at Landstar, I was all the way up in Idaho and Maine and Florida, and I was all over the place with Landstar. It wasn't until I kind of simplified things, kind of shortened my radius, and used Jeffrey Like's approach in the Snyder world that I was like, wow, okay, this works. And just applying some kind of consistency to the spot market is key as well. So, in my opinion. Good morning, brother. Snorelord, G-Star Express. How you been? I'm doing all right. Greetings from home. Setting up carrier pack permits folder and ready to roll on Monday. Awesome. Good deal. Walking the dog, John. Opportunities are like sunrises. If you wait too long, you miss them. William Arthur Ward. That's good. It's a good saying. He's walking like a dead man. If he had lived, he would have crucified us all. Now he's staying on his last step. He thought oblivion. Well, it beckons us all. Thomas, TK, what's up? Yeah, nailed it. I did survive. I think I was the only one not drinking. Keep cool. Plow horse might not win a race, even if you help. Having a clear mind is about the best weapon you can have out here. I don't know how much, I don't know how I can express that anymore. And am I always calm? No. I'm not going to get on YouTube in the moments that I'm having my fits. You know what I mean? We all have fits. I've beaten the steering wheel a few times. Yesterday, I had so many phone calls and so many things going on at the same time that I literally put my phone in airplane mode. I just like, bloop. Okay. Breathe. Because between dealing with the rate con, that's on my personal phone. Business phone's always on, but that's the beauty of having two phones, by the way. Just letting you know. I had rate cons I was dealing with, the broker I was dealing with. I had 4 different people that needed something from me on the phone at the same time. Then I had to get fuel, and then Ohio. I'm going to put it on record that I think that Ohio has the worst drivers. That's me. And especially during thunderstorms, especially during rainstorms. You have I-70, the stretch between Indianapolis and Columbus, Ohio. Many points where it's 3 lanes. Straight as an arrow. It's like Florida. It's just straight. And it's unbelievable the amount of people that can't do that right. Especially during rainstorms. I watched not 1, not 2, but 3 different slide-offs yesterday. What's my 2 cents about Nene's truck? Well, I'm not going to beat her up. like everybody else is, but I will say this. When you go to a mega carrier and you're given the keys to a business right off the bat, there's a lot of things that you learn pretty quickly, but it's within the realms of that carrier. In other words, if you miss the other teaching elements of being a business owner and you miss out on that, you're kind of blind to what they see. And that's by design. Prime doesn't want you to go out and buy your own truck and get your own authority or sign on with somebody else. They want you to be the master of their system, not the system. Okay? And I would imagine, I don't know Nene. I've only talked to her one time. I met met her at a truck stop in I think Petro in Brazil, Indiana. And she had mentioned that she was, at that time when she was done with her lease, that she was thinking about a place like Landstar or something like that. And I was like, well, I fully encourage that. And so I kind of gave her a couple of tips on, truck buying, what to look for, and, and not that she wanted my advice. I mean, I got that kind of vibe, like, oh, okay, another guy telling me what to do, But she was nice, don't get me wrong, but I don't know how many people in her circle are owner-ops outside of the prime circuit. So there was some classic mistakes that she made. And while I don't keep up with her channel, I'm hoping that she'll get over that. And this has been a learning experience. But buying deleted trucks, that's not a good idea. Number one, it's illegal. And number two, good luck getting it worked on. And if I had to choose between all the deleted trucks, PACCAR would be the last one, simply because of the proprietary stranglehold that PACCAR has on their stuff that makes it almost impossible to not do any major engine work at a dealer. And so I believe that someone took advantage of that situation and she paid the price. So that's just my 2 cents. And hopefully she'll learn from it. And, and talk to some people that will tell her nicely, this is how you should buy a truck. This is where you should go with that truck. This is how you should approach that business. And that just shows you how easy it is to make mistakes out here. And if you buy a deleted truck, do not announce it on YouTube. I don't know why, I don't know why we tend to, like, let's reveal illegal things on the Googles. So Jeff shared a lot with this, guys. Says nailed it. They're always doing some construction thing in downtown part of 70, twisted roads. G-Star, okay, so here's the problem with I-70. There was a load that I called on yesterday, and it was picking up first come first serve. It was about 100 miles away, so that kind of hurt a little bit, because it needed to be 680 miles away by 10 a.m. tomorrow, like today. It's like, so it would have been tight depending on how long it took me to get to the shipper and how long it took for them to load. And I asked the broker, I said, is there any leniency on this delivery time? And she's like, nope. Okay. And it's like, you can't do 650 miles. I'm like, well, I-70, I don't think so. Because Indianapolis takes 3 times to get through. There's a bunch of construction zones, which is why I wanted to take off at 4 in the morning, but I didn't. In Illinois, Troy, Illinois, from the state line of Indiana to Troy, Illinois, there's a bunch of construction, a bunch of 1-lane zones, a bunch of 45 zones with lots of cops, right? And so you just can't make good time on I-70 right now. And Indianapolis, they are rebuilding the interstates through the middle, so you can't even go through the middle now. And so all the traffic is on the loop. And so you can't make good time on 70, not to do a 650-mile day, plus unloading and loading, so it was an impossible task for me yesterday, so I had to pick something else. It would have been nice to deliver something today, but then I would have had another 180-mile deadhead home, because I wasn't going to find anything where I was going. So this was a better option. So that's why I chose, and then there's no time crunch. I mean, I can literally leave the house whenever I want Tuesday for a Wednesday morning delivery. Again, it's part of the strategy of how I've built my business around the spot market. Now, with that being said, though, if I had to adapt, if I had to, if suddenly the short haul game was gone, which a lot of times it leaves when the market goes bad, then I know the long haul option. I've got that option. That was kind of a strategy at Landstar. You wanted to do the longer runs because the less you were on that stupid low board of theirs, the better. And yes, Landstar's low board is stupid. I'll put that right out there. Oh, that's the other thing, Marty. This load's only 9,000 pounds. So, which was a nice surprise because the Raycon said it was going to be 40. So my fuel mileage is through the roof because I don't hit hills till I hit Missouri. Illinois, Indiana, nice and flat. So, when was the last time you ran a load with a partial? I don't do partials. Partials never work for me. If I had a flatbed, I'd be all about the partials because you can load them separately or whatever, but most of the time people want exclusive use of the van. And so a lot of times I feel that brokers use the word partial to keep from having to pay full price for shipping. I did say a bad name out loud. Look, it's a little unprofessional to do this, but I'm going to do it anyways because my ego's being fed with this live feed, and and I'm feeling pretty good, right? The struggles that I had at Landstar was that I would call on loads and they either didn't exist or it was always something. I called on it, they didn't have the information because they were getting it from the other brokers. They were getting it from C.H. Robinson. The co-brokering Landstar agents were the worst. Okay, now if you have a Landstar agent that has direct freight and they've had that account for a while, then they're just like any other good brokerage. Okay, I'm going to put that out there because I do have a friend that makes really good money with them running for one Landstar agent that has direct freight that has had that account and it's pretty secure. So when you have a situation like that, but again, that's cream of the crop. That's not the everyday low board that you get at Landstar as a contractor. Okay, so let me put that out there. Okay, so when I call on a Landstar load in the spot market, it's the same thing. I called on 3 different loads the other day that Landstar had because they tended to have all the stuff that I wanted in that area at that time. I'm like, so I called them, didn't have the delivery thing. They couldn't tell me what the product was. They would I will call you back in 15 minutes. The same lines that they used on me 6 years ago. And it was interesting that the last time I was at GATS, the Great American Truck Show in Dallas, Texas, Landstar had their whole booth and they had the big TV screen iPad thing where you can look at the load board, and sure enough, what do I see? 15 loads. That was the one same load. Landstar knows that's a problem, and they won't solve that problem because they know it makes them money. And I mentioned something to a friend of mine that I was talking to. Yeah, look, it's still got a problem. And the guy running the table, he goes, "Hey, Steve." He knew who I was from YouTube. And he remembered me. And this was like, 3 years after I had left Landstar. And so I posted on Facebook that I don't even know why I bother to call them. I think in the 3.5 years I've been doing this spot market thing, I've run one Landstar load. That's it. One. And it was jacked up too. So. Steve, what do you like better, the red Doritos or the blue Doritos? Marty, it's all trash. Come on, you know that. Coffee time. Shadow Wolf, good morning. Shadow Wolf, you going to be around Springfield? We'll hang out. We'll get some barbecue. I'll take you to a couple of good barbecue places. We'll eat carnivore. Oh, by the way, there is not an upload for day 11. I did a video. I did a clip answering Nailed It. He had mentioned something about, like, he had made a comment. I was responding to that. So we can consider this day 11 upload. The carnivore thing's going pretty good. I feel amazing. I feel amazing. And it's kind of weird at first, but once the body adjusts, man, it's pretty cool. For the last year and a half, I've had this pain in my shoulder right here, right there. Gone. It's easier to do a sit-up out of my bed to get out. Getting out of the truck's been a little bit easier. So that little bit of inflammation I was still getting has kind of disappeared. So if you're a person that has joint problems or back problems, diet is definitely a huge aspect of that pain factor, because inflammation causes pain. And the less inflammation you have, the better. And the best thing for the best thing for lowering inflammation is zero carbs. So, which is done by eating steak and bacon and pork roast and stuff like that. It's not like it's not like a vegan diet where you're like, okay, I'm going to eat off a salad for the rest of my life, and you're going to think that's enjoyable. But hey, if that floats your boat, so be it. Thanks, sir, but don't plan on going through there for a while. Take a rain check on that, though. All right, Shadow Wolf. But other than that, though, the carnivore challenge has been pretty cool. I love the challenge. The challenge aspect is that I'm doing it on YouTube and for some accountability. And the lack of variety, I think we've been so ingrained with our food choices that we feel we need 1,000 different recipes for everything. Back in the day, back in the paleo day, back in the, like, this is what you had in front of you at the table. You didn't have 1,000 different recipes, and it's just basic meat, and eventually I'll put vegetables back in this situation. Now there's no sauces, Stuart. There's salt, pepper, and butter. That's it. There's some, like, I think I got some oregano, some spices like that, like Mrs. Dash or something like that. But beyond that, I don't even touch that really. Yeah, there's no sauces. Now, if you want, So, and that's just my personal preference. I'm trying to eat as clean as possible. Eventually, like when I'm mainly keto, then I'll do mustards and but I still stay away from the condiments that have sugars and stuff like that. And Marty, comment to your chips. Blue. Well, the blue Doritos are full of MSG. That's the ranch flavored, if I remember correctly. The red ones are MSG, but there's something about that red dust that people can have a negative reaction to. I know that my son has, when he was younger, had a huge negative reaction to like the dust that's on Doritos and Cheetos and stuff like that. I noticed a change. Guys, MSG can be like meth. It can create rage. It increases your appetite. I guess I can turn off my APU. I'm not running the coffee here. And that's the whole point of this diet, is to clean up my eating. So, and it's been, I love it. It hasn't. Now, the next challenge, and this is what the next few videos based off the carnivore challenge, is what I'm trying to do, a video a day. Whether it's going to be a 2-minute update or a 20-minute lecture because I'm on my soapbox or whatever, either way, there's going to be a video a day. The next challenge that I was looking forward to dealing with was my home time, because I literally started it on a Tuesday, which I was home Tuesday. We went out to eat, which I did okay with that. And then I've been on the road ever since. I'm on the road. It's easier for me to stay focused on the diet stuff, right? Because, when you're at home, you want to eat dinner with the family and all that. And my wife, she cooks healthy meals for the family, but she's not, I don't expect her to, like, okay, we're having steak every night, that would be impossible for her. And so I don't put any stress on what meals that she's got planned at the house. So a lot of times I'm just cooking my own thing, which it kind of, we're still a family that sits down and eats dinner together. When I'm home. I mean, they do it when I'm not home, but that's kind of what we do. And so it kind of lessens that dynamic when I'm sitting there, everybody else has got whatever they got, and I'm sitting there with like my hamburgers that I've eaten, for the 6th time. So sometimes being at home can be a challenge, but the biggest challenge so far has been the fact that I can't fast in the mornings because of my medication. So next vlog should be cooking with Snorelord. Joshua, I do need to show how I cook eggs in the truck. It's pretty easy, but you're gonna go through a lot of paper bowls, a lot of paper towels, and a lot of wipes. These things right here, mega important. And plenty of bottled water on hand. I carry about 3 or 4 gallons of water at any point in time on this truck. It sucks because I'm always tripping on them, because I don't really have a good place to put them, but I have individual bottled water, and then I have the gallons. And, the gallons do everything, like from rinsing to using it for my CPAP to using it for coffee. Coffee, the most important meal of the day. And my cooking videos do pretty good analytic wise. course, the one that's the best one, the one that is getting the most hits, is the one where I used copyrighted music, and so I'm not getting any monetary value from that. And the other thing is, the carnivore thing helps with skin tags. So I've got a few skin tags I'm hoping to alleviate. So, look, if there's any negative aspects of this diet, I mean, I'm going to tell you, because that's why I'm not telling you should do it, because it may not work for you. There are people that this would probably screw up a little bit. Are you making good money YouTubing? Rick, I do okay. Well, it depends on what you think good money is. I average about $100 a month. That's it. And that's super chats and everything. So that's essentially, I just kind of throw that in the bank and let it sit. That's what I do. Jerry, what I put in my coffee is, I generally drink it black. However, I do put heavy whipping cream in it. I'm not one of these keto butter, bulletproof coffee guys. I just keep it simple. And if I don't do heavy whipping cream, it's black. So that's it. Right now, there's, like, I put about that much heavy whipping cream in this cup, and I've refilled this cup a couple of times, so it's pretty diluted. When cooking, hot water helps clean the pan as well. Yeah, and that's where having a microwave is really important. I think that my goal this weekend is to cook a bunch of stuff, so it's on the ready, so I don't have to bust out the Foreman grill every night. That's been kind of getting old. So, please give us a rundown of your truck's transmissions from first to last. I have no idea what any of that means, Marty. Are you still sipping Altura? No, Rick, I'm out of Altura. I need to get some more. I came across, Black Rifle Coffee. I was at Bass Pro a couple weeks ago, and I forget which roast I got. It's the one with the helicopter. That one's really good. That blend is really good. But Cafe Altura, I haven't had any. Let's see, when was the last time? I think I had some about a couple months ago. I need to get some more, though. Well, my last 4 trucks, what was the transmissions? Oh, Eaton Fuller. Every single time. I've only driven one truck where it wasn't an Eaton Fuller, and that was a Volvo. So. Well, Dutch, he does the membership thing, so like, he's doing it, Pale Rider's doing it, Jeff's doing it. Now, I don't know how much Jeff makes on the membership aspect. Pale Riders is pretty inexpensive, but I've thought about the membership thing, but I don't feel I offer anything extra. Yeah, and the whole purpose of the membership thing is you do member exclusive content, right? I barely have I have trouble creating good content for the free. So I feel that people shouldn't pay for my information, because so I mean, look, if you want to do the membership thing, that's great. I've thought about doing it, because I do have people that want to call me and want some advice one-on-one, or they don't want to put it out here, and you need to be paid for your time sometimes, but I don't think I have anything to offer, and if I find myself with something to offer, then I might start the membership thing. But then I don't know, that I struggle with that. I struggle with the logistics of that and the morality of that myself. If you do it, great, more on you. I think it's great if people want to pay. If look, if I did a thing where I'm going to drink coffee and members only get that exclusive rights to the morning coffee live, and people want to pay me $5 a month just to listen to me talk about having coffee, that would be awesome. but at the same time, I feel weird because that wouldn't be worth $5 to me. I wouldn't pay someone $5 to watch them drink coffee. I mean, you know, I don't know. It's just me though. Steve Berger. I want to congratulate Steve Berger because he's written the next hit, and it's called the Blood Goo. The floor of blood goo. What was it called, Steve Berger? The pool of blood goo or something like that. It's gonna be like, it's very Slayer-esque, very Slayer. Rick LP, the one with the helicopter isn't as strong. It's a light roast. I love light roast because number one, the caffeine content's better on those. A lot of people don't realize that. But yeah, it's like, you know, I used to like the Starbucks blonde roast, but I won't buy another ounce of Starbucks coffee ever. So that's just me though. Maybe you'll consider getting a membership after Coach starts his up. What does Trucker's Coach have anything to do with my decisions on how I handle my channel? I did talk about starting a call-in thing, maybe, which I have a Google Voice number. I'd be willing to do that, but you know, what other people do with their channels really doesn't concern me. Really doesn't. Blood Goo of Death. Yeah, there you go. Blood Goo of Death. That's what it was. There are a lot of factors to making money on the YouTube there, Rick. Sub are the thing, but views are. If you get around 1 million views on the regular, you can do well. Fact. You know, and Ike Stevens, I think, was able to get off the road because of the revenue he's making with his YouTube channel, which, you know, that's awesome. I think we all kind of desire that to a certain degree. Look, you've got people that play video games live on YouTube that are making like so much money that they could retire early. I mean, that's the weird aspect of this whole world, right? Like, you know, if you were a little kid and someone came up to you and said, like, hey man, do you like working? No. What if I told you you can make money playing video games as long as you let people watch you? Okay. What's the catch? There is no catch. Google's going to pay you to do that. That's a real thing. So, I'm from 1970. What is Google Voice? Is that free like Zello? What it is, it's an app you put on your phone and it uses a different phone number. So, so if it gets added to a spam thing or some hot porno line or whatever like that, it doesn't matter. Whereas if you give your personal number out, then that kind of can become an issue. And so Google Voice, that's what that is. So when I've got Google Voice on my business phone, right? So what I do is when I have to call somebody, I actually have to choose which number I'm using. And it comes in handy sometimes when you don't want to let the broker know that you're trying to get home. Oh, look, this guy's looking for a load from a Springfield number going to Springfield. You know, and so I'll use the Google Voice number and it works. It works, so. Other Trucker James Best, what's up? I used to give my number out, and then I had a slew of people, which I later found out who it was, that were texting me like this stupid stuff, trolling me pretty much. And then I had one person though that was actually like calling me an idiot and telling me all these things while I was down because of my bum leg. And it's like, so I stopped giving away my number because, like, look, obviously I pissed you off. Either you didn't like my advice or you thought I blew you off, and that's easy to do. I had someone approach my truck yesterday that I recognized kind of, but I was like, and at the time they came up to my truck, I was dealing with the rate guy, and so I had to kind of blow them off for like, give me 10 minutes, dude, give me 10 minutes, please. And and so sometimes that can come across bad. I genuinely, and a lot of people like, oh, I called you yesterday and you never called me back, and I'm like, I mean, it just, the amount of phone calls I get in a day are pretty insane, so I couldn't imagine if like I had my own authority or whatever, like how much more that would add to that. So, you know. If Ike is off the road because of income from YouTube, he might have a rude awakening one day. Don't count on YouTube for your livelihood. My thought only. I agree with that, Shadow Wolf. I would look, if I could make enough money off my YouTube to get off the road, but didn't get off the road, that money would be invested where I could retire early. Regardless if Google goes away or not. That's the thing. Invest that extra money. That's kind of how I would approach that situation. But that's and again, we may not know all the details of the situation. So, but I agree with you. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. I look at YouTube as a another stream of income. The Robert Kiyosaki, have multiple streams of income approach, and YouTube is and social media is one of those things. I've also thought about doing the coffee mugs and the shirts once I can get a logo. And my wife came up with a good idea. What if you had the apnea logo, but put in the Snorelord term? So I got to talk to my artist guy that did the apnea logo and see if he could do that. If I could do that, that'll be awesome. Because I just want something that looks heavy metal that represents me without ripping somebody off. So, Big Rig CO is in the house. Donnie Luke's in the house. Buy land more people on the planet. So, I like the logo of this. This is a church, actually, to be honest with you. How heavy metal looking is that? But no, I thought about doing the apnea logo, but, the way the apnea logo came about was we had a general idea. So there was a guy that was in the band for a minute. He did I'm talking like a sketch on a napkin. It literally was a sketch on a napkin. So I gave it to a guy that was a relative of our bass player at the time, and nice guy, and he came up with the logo, and we were like, holy crap, you did that from just a napkin sketch. And so that became our logo, because I struggled with logos for a long time before that. And so once the idea was brought, do that in the Snorelord, I was like, I bet you he could do that. So I need to get on that. I need to talk to him. James loves the apnea logo. Donnie Luke, you will see his truck there in Neo Show a lot. So, Donnie Luke, you probably saw me in Neo Show for that fact, because I'm in and out of there a lot as well. Because I remember seeing James's truck a few days ago. 3 streams of income is the way. Now that's my thought only. You're right, Snorelord. Yep. And there are people like Shadow Wolf, you come to mind. There are people out there that do like RV stuff, and they're making money doing that off their YouTube just by, and that's the name of the game, right? Is to get endorsements, to get people to sponsor you. I mean, look at NASCAR. Like Coke pays this guy to be able, they give him a little bit of money to put their name on the side of his car, that kind of thing. Well, like there's a YouTuber, James Best knows what I'm talking about. Bjorn Bull Hansen, who's this Nordic Viking guy that has a unique look at life, and it's some really good views. But he's one of these guys that will go out hiking and sleep in the woods regardless of what the weather is, and so he has all this gear, right? He's got a certain hat and a certain shirt and a certain jacket, a certain coffee maker, a certain hammock, a certain backpack, and he puts a list of that stuff as an affiliate, and he does really good with that, but he's not like sitting there like, hey, make sure you buy North Face, he's not doing that either. He's just like, look, if you're interested in the things that I'm using in these videos, here you go. And there are some companies that are willing to give him, hey, we're going to send you a set of knives, and tell us what you think of them, and that's kind of the name of the game. And like, at least once a week I get emails from people like, hey, you're an influencer. That's what they call us YouTubers now. And so we would like you to try this product. We would like you to try, how would you like to make extra money promoting our products? People kind of see us as like the NASCARs kind of deal. So Cash is King, what's up? Might sound strange, but drawing you Snorelord would be easy. Probably. What else can you do? What else can you do if you're over the road? In regards to what, Joshua? Pale Rider TV? LOL? What are you laughing at, Pale Rider? Average RV channel that I see has a couple 100,000 views. I'll pose. Okay. Not quite what I was thinking if JF Trucker Banana Hammock stuff. I don't even know what that's about because I don't follow JF Trucker. No offense to him, but I just don't. We could talk on that kind of stuff, sir. And that's kind of where I would love to be able to do that to a certain degree without selling my soul off, right? There's a YouTuber I watch called Viking Prepper, and he used to have really good content, and then he got very hyperbolic, like, oh, we're all gonna die, that kind of thing. But then he started his Patreon channel, and so now the only thing he uploads to YouTube is talking about his Patreon channel and how much you've missed. If you're on my Patreon, you've heard me talk about this, this, and this. Oh, here, by the way, here's these set of extravagant flashlights that you need to buy. You can't sit there and tell that you care about people, but only if you got money, right? So it kind of bummed me out when I saw his channel go in that direction. But sometimes it's just getting the right analytics. If anybody watched Timcast IRL, that guy gets super chats like I've never seen on his live streams. He does Monday through Friday, he does live streams. I swear he probably makes about $2,000 a night just in super chats alone, because there's so many people in his chat. You want to talk about YouTubers that think they're hot shit when they got 100 people in their chat. Tim always has at least between 40 to 100,000 people in his chats every night. And so the only way your comment can be read is through a super chat. And people are willingly doing that. And then the analytics, then he separates he'll cut up a live feed and get the high points, which he's got a crew working for him doing that. And then those videos get a huge amount of views. So the guy is making a killing on YouTube. Like I would love to see his YouTube studio and analytics and revenue. You know. Oh, multiple streams. Okay, Joshua. How do you do multiple streams of income as an OTR? Well, number one, investing. Invest in real estate. Invest in stock options. You know, everybody's all about the Dogecoin and all that kind of stuff, which I'm not going to give you a recommendation for that because I'm not an expert at that. You could, you know, you could start online businesses. You know, I mean, there's different ways, but it's mostly about investing, saving your money, investing in different things that start to work for you. You know, that kind of thing. Rick, Patreon is like YouTube, but you pay for it. So when people say go to my Patreon, that's a YouTube channel that you pay for. So, and then that's another, Joshua, that's another. YouTube can be another income source if you're a truck driver. What's up, you long-haired hippie? I bet OTJB got a hangover, still drunk, says Dennis. When a YouTuber becomes big, i.e. 100,000 subs, they all change to become, well, I'm better than you. I can't stand that. That's what I struggle with, Shadow Wolf. I don't think there's any risk of me getting over 100,000 subs anytime soon. So I think I'm safe for a minute in your world. So it did, Donnie Luke. It did. Chuck around, pay me $20, or he even says it like that on his live feed. It says Dutch. Do you think within 2 years from now you'll have your own authority? Marty, probably not. Cassius King says $5. Thanks for showing your carnivore stuff. You're welcome. And I want to try to be more in depth on that because, you know, after day 28, you're going to be like, I had steak today, so I got to do a little bit more with it, right? So I got to, you know, this is day 12, and so far so good. I'll, you know, maybe I'll do a members only Patreon thing and I'll tell you really how the carnivore stuff is. No, I won't do that. My goal with that is to help people because look, I don't care how awesome and strong your authority or your company is. I don't care if you get up to 50 or 100 trucks. It won't matter if you're dead. It won't matter if you're giving up all your revenue for cancer treatments, for inflammatories, for diabetic medicine. It does no good to make all this $5 a mile, $10,000 a week if you're diabetic and you have to get out of the truck next week. It does you no good. So while everybody's arguing about business and money and how to do this and how to do that, the reality is the health, your health is the biggest factor of how well you do out here, both mentally and physically. That's it. That's where I want to help. Am I the smartest businessman? Probably not. Am I the hardest worker out here? Probably not. Am I the laziest worker out here? Probably not. But I do know that when I took control of my health, things started to improve. And it's not about the end game, it's about the journey. And by changing your health, stress goes down. It'll actually save you money too, to be honest with you. So you're gonna do 40 days of Twinkies, Big Rig CEO? You got to roll, Shadow Wolf. Be safe there in Texas. The Haggy. Oh, sure it will. If I'm dead, I'll finally sleep well. I hear you. I hear you there. I can't wait for Roscoe to get his cheese, nacho cheese thing. I'm gonna predict the future. I'm gonna predict the future. Okay, here it goes. Here's the vision. You know, John Armstrong's always called me Snorelord Damas or whatever. Okay, I'm gonna predict the future. 1 year from now, you're gonna see James Best with 2 kegerators behind him, the nacho cheese machine, the Slurpee machine, and the popcorn machine, and he's going to be 600 pounds. That's going to be my vision. I'm envisioning right now that addictive laugh that he has, and him with his big gut and his cat, you know, hanging out with him, 600 pounds, with a smile on his face as he puts that cheese sauce on whatever the hell he wants. That's my prediction right there. Watch a Cletus McFarlane live stream. Stupid money. He doesn't do live feeds very often, but he will make crazy money when he does them. Just checking, does Coach run more than you? No. Pale Rider TV is starting the vlogs back up. Good deal. I was having Friday night withdrawals. Pale Rider, since you weren't live last night, I was forced to get on James Best live feed. And they were talking about some nasty stuff over there, dude. And I blame you, Pale Rider. I blame you. So there you go. Nasty. Like, shudder at the thoughts of the questions that I was asked. So. Now, I will say this. The confused look of One Box was priceless. So, I'll just say that. That was the best part. Was the whole... Anybody who's ever on a James Best live feed, just know that this look will be on your face at one point or another. That's going to happen. Flat out. So yeah, Pale Rider, blame you. Now, I understand Pale Rider's frustration with StreamYard. I'm frustrated with StreamYard. I don't even have it. You know why? Because every single ad on my Googles is StreamYard. Every single... StreamYard or crypto credit cards. It's very annoying to be like, I'll be in the middle of some great information, all of a sudden, doing cryptocurrency, blah, 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 you know, or StreamYard. I love StreamYard. Yeah. Take your StreamYard and shove it. Thank you. GMO, baby. GMO grass seed right there, baby. My wife even wondered if I was bi-curious after watching that. That's the risk you take there, Dutch. Went from Pale Rider PG to OG Face Springer. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the deal there. Look, we have fun on YouTube, we really do, but sometimes our anger and emotions get the best of us. It's happened to all of us. And it kind of sucks when that happens, you know, and there's... with this tainted world that we live in, with the negativity that we're seeing on the media and the news and just out and about and all the division, you know, it's like it's kind of sad when you can't even get a break from it when you get on YouTube. You know, and you know, you are what you consume. I mean that's I mean, in all seriousness, you are what you consume. That's it. James Best, I think you ought to apologize to Chucky from last night. That's my opinion on that. Beer and popcorn, that's right. Yeah, if you want diverticulitis, popcorn's a no-go. Popcorn's a no-go. But we'll dive in. Look, my channel is not just about the carnivore thing or the keto thing. It's not just about spot market or trucking, you know, even. I have tried to branch off away from trucking on a couple of things, and they never do well. The music stuff, the guitar stuff is fun, but it can be kind of redundant because I'm not that awesome of a guitar player. And then the stuff that I like doing that puts music to driving, I haven't done any of those in a while. And I'm doing those less and less, even though I enjoy doing them. They don't get a whole lot of views, and they do put my channel at risk for, you know, YouTube going, hey, what are you doing? You know, so, you know, unless I can use some of my own music, you know, I really don't do that. And if my stuff gets on Spotify, I'll have to even detract from that, which we're working on that. I'm working with the guy to try to put everything I've written and put on CD or in recording on Spotify, so it'd be easier to stream. So we all get over it sooner or later. Ogar, what's up? You're late to the game. He does have thick skin, but he kind of got a lashing that was kind of undeserved. Because reality, Chucky's got his act together. Working on paying off the second SFI truck with his own authority. I think it's a feat to be taken into consideration. If I had my own authority, I would have no issues having Chucky on board. Chucky, look, you know, there was a debate between James Best and Spectre and I about if I was to get my own authority, would I bring on other drivers? And initially I say no, because there's very few people I trust behind the wheel of a truck. And that's just from my experience in training and by how many people almost go into my lane every time they pass me, and the stupid stuff that we see at truck stops. And every now and then you'll find a person that you're like, wow, you're a good driver, man, I like you, you know. And Chucky's one of those guys. You think your next purchase will be a trailer or truck? I'm not purchasing anything. The prices are way too high. I could probably sell my trailer right now double of what I paid for it, if not at least a third more, and pay off a lot of bills. I had somebody offer me 90 grand for my truck and trailer, and then when I looked at the prices of trucks and trailers, definitely not. Trying to buy equipment right now is used equipment. Now, new equipment is still not as bad, but used equipment right now is absolutely insane. And one of the big regrets I had this past year was I didn't take advantage of the low numbers earlier last year when everything was hitting the fan, and you could have gotten trailers for days for, you know, a third less. Now they're a third more. Big Rick CEO says, I can't wait till OTJB snaps on me. I will know I made it. I got YouTube Premium, so I don't see the commercials. YouTube started advertising Prime Inc. all the time to me. Cash is king. I'm this close to going back to YouTube. I had YouTube Premium for a minute. Back when Cobra Kai was only on YouTube and not Netflix, I would actually pay for that. But between, I pay for Spotify Premium, I pay for Netflix, and we use those. So YouTube Premium is just another bill, and I do what I do because I keep my bills low. So repo lots full of equipment next year, I think. Clyde, I agree. That's look. If you're a promising entrepreneur in the trucking business, or aspiring, or that's where you want to go. The best time, and people will argue with me on this, but hear me out. The best time to get into the market is when it's low. Because number one, you're going to learn how to survive really quickly. Number one. Number two, equipment is easily attained, easily maintained, and it costs less. I could have gotten a brand new Volvo last year for $145,000 after FET. $145,000. That same truck is like $175 now. That's how much difference there is on a down market from an up market. Trailers I could have gotten for days. My bigger regret is I didn't buy 5 trailers last year, because if I had, they would all be making money right now for me, right this minute. No problem. Either through Jeff or through anybody else that needed them, I would have that money coming in. But I'm dumb. So, but that's the best time to get into the market is when it's low. Because then when it's high, you're like, hell yeah. When it's low, you know how to survive. So that's it. Someone paid $48,000 for a 2019 Hyundai Drive Van at Ritchie Brothers last week. People can't sustain that type of stupidity. That is absolutely insane. $48,000 for a $30,000 trailer. Why are you talking all caps, Big Rig CO? What are you, insane or something? You don't have to tell us that you keep your bills low. The fact that you've refused to invest in a razor lets everyone know how cheap you are. The ladies love this, guys. I don't know. The ladies love this. You know how many people text me like, dude, my wife loves watching you with your beard. Right? And this hides all the ugly. See, that's the thing. Imagine this. Look, you can go find some old videos where I don't have a beard. I was pretty ugly. Right? I'm still am. It's just well hidden. You know? And if people think you're homeless, like James Best likes to call me homeless because of my beard. Again, they underestimate the enemy, right? So there you go. So, it does hide all the ugly. Nick Brashears, what's up? I believe he does, Dutch. I believe he does. I think it's funny that people are obsessed in my facial hair. That's kind of funny too. You're still the ugliest YouTube sensation I know. I'm with you, Cash. I'm tired of all the YouTube ads. I'm going to do premium also, get rid of junk. It used to be, I don't know, I noticed that you can't see the yellow tabs anymore. And YouTube's doing a horrible job of interrupting. Like before, they said they called it natural breaks in the video. But they're not doing that. And it makes you kind of ADHD because, you know, sit there, you're engrossed in a situation, and all of a sudden, get cryptocurrency credit cards right now. You know? So it's like, hey, don't yell at me. I'm watching this show. What the hell? I'm the most beautiful person on YouTube there, Big Rig CEO, of everybody you watch. I am. So, all right, guys, I think we've run this course. So we're at an hour 40, and we definitely ain't no marathon. I gotta get going so I can get home. I gotta get a couple of things done before I get home. How many hours are left on my 70? Well, it's very personal, but whatever floats your boat. Hold on, let me look here. $13.17. There you go. What? Negative. I watch myself incessantly. Neil, it's interesting you say that because there are some videos out there before I had the beard. There was one time I had an issue with my CPAP machine, my old one, and I didn't want to take any risk of being non-compliant, so I actually shaved it all off. And that was, I think I was still, I might have been at Schneider at the beginning of that. And yeah, it kind of freaks people out. Now, the other day, James Best was live. Imagine that, and he was talking about all these different beard styles, you know, and they're all experimenting with what he should be doing. Keep it simple, man. Just let it grow and flow. You know, there's the singer of Crowbar, singer guitar player Crowbar. He's got a massive beard like this, and he actually starts selling beard products. That's what I need to do. You like the monkey tail? Mr. Gas can't fill their trucks. Will keep rated high. The trick is to get it to a certain length so when I tie it down, it's not all bushy. Right? That's what my face looks like without the beard there. No. I do have to watch it when I'm doing the landing gear. You know, I'm whipping around. I got to make sure that when I'm doing my pre-trip, my truck's running. I don't want to get this caught in the belts. You know what I mean? Recycle bacon grease the carnivore beer. That's a great idea, Hound Dog. That's a great idea. You don't think you'll make it through the ugly stage? Look, I had one of the rarest pleasures of witnessing James Best try beard oil there at the Petro in Joplin. We did a live feed. We did this long live feed on his channel, I believe, or my channel. I can't remember. It was we were doing that, and so as we're leaving, there's as you know, if anybody's been to Joplin Petro, there's a booth there, or not a booth, but a table that has all these like man products, right? Men, you know, and they had a free sample of beard oil, right? And so we're walking out, and James is looking at this table. He's like, "What that is?" Like, it's beard oil. And he goes, "Well, how do you use it?" I said, "Well, put it in your hands and do that." He's like, so he does that. He's like, and this is what he does. He puts it on his hands and he does this. Now he's covered in oil, face and hands. There's a guy that was walking up that was like, "The hell's wrong with these guys?" and he had to go to the bathroom to wash it all off. It was the greatest thing. It's like, man, I wish you would have done that while we were still live on YouTube. It was the best thing ever. So when someone mentioned the other day about sending him beard oil, I'm like, oh, you don't want to do that. That's going to create a situation because James cannot handle beard oil. Just you know. So. Big ratio. To this day, the funniest beard moment was watching Steve try to shoot an AR-15 with the wind blowing his beard back in his face. Visualize it. That is true. That is true. Definitely tying the beard down when you go hunting. Definitely tying it down. Anyways, guys, my coffee cup's been empty for about 20 minutes now. So, with that being said, thanks for watching. I enjoyed this live feed. Memorial Day is about remembering those that we've lost. My dad was a gunny in the Marine Corps. He's on my profile pic. His grave is on my profile pic. Remember those that we've lost. That's what this day's for, or this weekend's for. You know, I hope everybody's going to be safe. And, you know, people are out with their heads up their butts driving these vehicles around, both trucks and cars. If you're going through major cities, be careful because, you know, lots of construction and everything else going on. So, guys, be safe, be aware, and be easy, man. Simplicity. Make it easy. So, with that being said, thanks for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for the super chat, guys. And I really, really am thankful for you guys. Peace.